Now, I have a portafilter that I have dosed very carefully to be as uneven as I can make it. So we have a mound over here and a valley over there, mountain and valley, right? So supposedly, when you have something like this, what happens is that the distribution, this uneven distribution, remains throughout the shot. And it's a disaster, right? So let's see about that, right? It's going to keep its uneven distribution. So I'm going to just very, very gently put the tamp on there and straight down. I'm going to try to hold it very straight and move it just a little bit and see what happens here. Okay. Well, it looks like the coffee is kind of moving over in that direction, doesn't it? All right. See if I can put this a little bit deeper in there before I have to change to something else. Huh? How about that? Okay, there's that. What happened there? Well, it looks like more of the same, I think. Try again. Third time lucky. Oops, it gets caught in there sometimes. They're not perfectly fitted to each other, so okay, I'll let that go. I'm going to remove the collar. And I'm seeing a kind of a migration over here. So I don't know. Let's use this now because it's very light and it should just let it down, down, let it down, down, down. Okay, easy. I'm doing this as slowly as I can so that you can see what's happening. Okay, so there is more. It's got a little slope to it. There's more over here. I'm going to just move that. But let's push a little bit farther down until we get to the, to where it touches. Okay, just do that. Alrighty. I think that's touching all the way around now. So this is the same distance. This is intruding the same distance all the way around. Okay. So now I still have a little bit of a mess over here, but that's okay. That happens all the time. The tamp is a closer fit, so let's put that in there. And just going to very gently, again, very lightly touch. Okay. Okay, now. Well, that looks very even to me. It looks like the coffee shifted. And it changed its own distribution. How could that possibly happen? I mean, I think we broke physics here. Oh my God. We've broken physics. It's supposed to keep it for, the whole time. Just going to try to clean that up a bit. And let's take a look at the thickness, the height of the puck. Well, it looks like it's level. There's a little bit of coffee on the side of the basket there. I'm going to try and scrape it down so we can see more clearly. But I think, based on how this feels, that this is level. And yeah, it's dead level. Okay, so what they tell us is that the area over here, I'm going to just tamp it with a little bit more firmly here, but do my normal thing. But okay, so what they say is that over here where the coffee was piled up toward the handle, it should block the flow of water because there's so much coffee there. And over here, away from the handle, it should just gush out because there's much less coffee there. The distribution hasn't changed. That's what the baristocrats all say. Okay, so I'm going to switch cameras. Let's take a look there. And we'll see what happens. Now, this is going to be an awkward move because I've got lights, cameras, wires, all stuff in front of me here. So I'm just going to, you can see this camera over here, right? Okay, so let's see. I'm going to just try this over here. Switch hands, whatever. Okay, so. Okay, so that looks just great. Let's check that camera angle there. I'll push in a little bit. Okay, let's see what happens. I remember that the handle side is where we should see very little coffee coming through during the shot. And away from the handle, it should all be. Okay, there we go. All right, let's see. All right. Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay, so that's not really what we're told to expect, is it? Huh. Well, that's strange. Well, let's see how the shot looks. Let's go ahead. That's just a little pre-infusion there. See how she's running. Gosh, it looks like we broke physics. So why doesn't this uneven distribution dog you throughout the shot? Why? Somebody's forgetting things, right? Everybody will tell you the same thing, and it's wrong. Why is everybody wrong? Because they're forgetting friction. There's very little friction between the particles when it's just sitting there like that. It doesn't start, the particles don't start resisting force until they are compressed or compacted, rather. So here in the very beginning, nothing is stopping the coffee from moving, from rearranging itself. So then you say to me, well, Thomas, I've seen you so many times. You always shake the portafilter to even the top. Yes, I do. And I do that because I don't want to make a mess. Because when you have something like this, you stick a tamp in there, you know, it's going to spill. It's going to, you know, it's going to move around. So you don't want that. I do it to avoid a mess, so I don't have to clean up so much. It doesn't matter what you start with. It only matters what you end up with. If you end up with a dead level puck, you have a dead level puck. If it is the right headspace there, if it's the right distance from the shower screen, and it's level or parallel to it, the shot is going to be fine. There's nothing to worry about. Well, people worry so much about that. This is just a matter of friction. That's all it is. In fact, I'll use this because it's very, very light and it goes in deeper. So I'm just going to push. There's no friction. There's nothing pushing back. The coffee isn't trying to retain its distribution. It's not trying at all. There's very, very little friction. As you get it more compressed, there is more, but that's okay because you've got a tamp. That's why I level it, because otherwise it's messy. That's the only reason why I start out with a level portafilter. The only reason. There's no other reason. Of course, this isn't going to be a problem. Of course it's going to work. How could it not? Now we've got it pretty well compressed. And at this point, you're going to have a little trouble. All right? There's going to be a little trouble if it's uneven. So if you end up with an uneven puck and it's compressed, then you're going to have a problem. That's the problem. But if you start out with an uneven puck, you can just make it very even using your tamp with a little bit of skill and a little bit of understanding. Once you know what you're doing and you practice it a little bit, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing here. This is complete and utter rubbish. The idea that you have to have a perfectly level coffee distribution to start. No, you have to have a perfectly level coffee distribution in the end. You have to end up with a dead level puck. And that puck has to be parallel to the screen, and it has to be the right distance. The distance of the headspace has to be correct. So you dose volumetrically if you're listening. And that's it. Do I have to say it again? I mean, I feel it's embarrassing to have to say the same thing over and over again. So rant over, but I think, you try this, okay? I'm not telling you that you have to believe me. You don't have to believe me, but try it and you will see. You'll see. Friction is the key. Low friction at the start, you can get this thing perfectly level. Now we've got a lot of friction so between those particles, and if I want to change that angle of the puck, it's going to push back. It really doesn't want to change. That angle doesn't want to change. But that's okay because it's correct, right? So it doesn't have to change. I don't know why everybody says the same thing. They just repeat what each other say. A mistake just goes on forever. In the world of like high-end coffee, you cannot convince people of the simplest things. And I keep trying, but nobody's listening because I'm not telling you, go out and buy a rake and a disc and a fidget spinner and a whisk and, go out and buy all these things. You need a new machine. You need a puck press. It's all rubbish. It's utter rubbish. Of course you don't need any of that shit. They're just trying to sell you stuff. I don't sell. I got nothing for sale here. Nothing. No merch, nothing. No Patreon. I don't have mid-roll ads. I'm not selling anything. I'm telling you, I'm educating you. Listen to me, okay? That whole thing about the distribution following you through the utter bullshit to sell gizmos that are going to end up destined for the junk drawer. Understand and acquire skill. Practice. You'll get it. Everything is going to be just fine.